Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Tuesday the 25th of May 2021. And we're looking at gold and silver now having reached the figures we predicted. And ask, where are they going next? So let's take a look. Yesterday we produced a video entitled $28 Silver Very Likely This Week, and on Saturday our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 21st of May, and we've placed links to both of these below. We took a bit of stick on yesterday's video as a number of critics thought it appropriate to make fun of our prediction yesterday on the grounds that it was not an earth-shattering forecast to suggest $28 silver when it was only 25 to 30 cents away from that predictive price. What some clearly were unaware is that silver, having bounced off or not quite reaching $28 a couple of times, a number of analysts were seriously suggesting a potential pullback to at least $17.50, if not below, and as low potentially as $17.20. We were suggesting, or so we thought, that this would not be the case, or if it did happen, would not hold, and that $28 was almost definitely going to occur in spite of these countervailing comments. But perhaps we did not make that point clearly enough in our video. For those who listened to our weekly update, and the viewing figures we can see that not that many have, we pointed out that we expect gold to trade normally between $1,800 and $1,900, but could go as high as $1,950, and silver to trade between $27 and as high, potentially, as $28.75, with $29.50 as an outlier, though we did not expect $29 to be breached. Thereby, we thought we were providing a degree of comfort that $28 would be achieved, and indeed even higher prices could then proceed. Well, at the time of writing, which is 1930, GMT plus 1, gold is exactly $1,900 and silver is exactly $28, having only been as high as $28.05 today, and as low, wait for it, as $27.48. Yes, those commentators were right about silver going below $27.50, but as we thought we were giving comfort, our comments yesterday were opportune and practical, as we've seen silver rebound up to $28. Thank you to all those who expressed ridicule. We hope you will do the same on the pumpers channels who told you all year, all of last year, all of the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that we were going to see $100 silver anytime soon. However, we don't often see such comments. Looking at the dollar index, we can see that it's lower again by almost 0.2 points at 89.66, while equities are more or less unchanged or in very marginal negative territory by around 0.1%. The dollar is now at its lowest closing level since 2018, as US long-term yields fell. Technically, we have the 10-day moving average crossing the 200-day moving average for gold, which suggests an upward trend. Resistance is at psychologically important level of 1950 and technically at 1960. Both of them come into play, which is where the 2021 highs rest. Support is at the 10-day moving average, marginally above $1,860. The fast stochastic has generated a buy signal, and medium-term momentum is positive, with the MACD pointing to higher prices. So we have a setup, a very positive setup for gold. We have yet to see some serious economic data, though some housing information out today has been very strong. And we expect, beginning tomorrow, US data to start to unveil itself, with most influence, frankly, coming on Friday. So the situation looks very positive for gold even at this current level. Silver markets, though, having fallen at the beginning of today, have staged a positive recovery, and whilst it may play around the $28 level, we're expecting a further rise. Now, for the critics, by at least 1 cent. Yes, $28.01 we predict. And for everyone else, it may actually attempt the 28.25 level. If it reaches that, and we're not saying it's going to go much beyond that, but if it does reach that, it will make a stab towards 28.50, having first met resistance at 28.30. We're a little more confident about gold's advance at this stage because we want to see this economic data to see how strong it actually is. If it is strong, then silver will benefit more. We have to see a breakout above 28, otherwise we're still comfortable nevertheless with very considerable support around the 27.50 level. So if we don't get the breakout for whatever reason, then we're still quite comfortable that 27.50 will be the lowest silver will go back down to. Now there has been some economic data announced today, with disappointing new home sales and a marginally lower consumer confidence index. Around half an hour ago, Bloomberg reported the following for context. Bloomberg article dated 25th of May, 2021, 7:33 p.m. GMT +1. Headline: Stocks waver amid economic data, Fed price views. Stocks fluctuated as investors weighed the inflationary signals from economic reports against dovish reassurances for Federal Reserve officials. Treasuries rose. The S&P 500 was little changed after a gauge of new US home sales fell by more than forecast, as higher prices restrained demand. Separate figures showed that consumer confidence dropped for the first time this year, with inflation concern and elevated unemployment likely curbing improvement in sentiment. Meanwhile, Fed Vice Chair Richard Clarida said price pressures would prove to be largely transitory. His remarks echoed those of Chicago Fed President Charles Evans, the central bank's Vice Chair for Supervision, Randall Quarles, and 3 other Fed officials who this week pushed back against the idea that any rise in inflation would become long-lasting. Still, investors have been concerned about how long the central bank can keep stimulative monetary policy in place if economic data continues to show price pressures. The data remains volatility. Should that be volatile? And that should be expected as we deal with the pandemic exit and the uncertainties that surround that, said Denis Debouchere, head of portfolio strategy at Evercore ISI. US central bank officials may be able to begin discussing the appropriate timing of scaling back their bond buying program at upcoming policy meetings, Clarida also said Tuesday. Some corporate highlights: Amazon.com was sued by the Attorney General for Washington, D.C., who accused it of engaging in anti-competitive practices that have raised prices for consumers. U.S. airlines gained as the country's 3 biggest carriers said a travel rebound is gaining steam, and Moderna Inc. rallied as its COVID-19 vaccine was found highly effective in 12 to 17-year-old adolescents in a large study, paving the way for regulatory submissions around the world by early June. Some events this week which are worth noting: Reserve Bank of New Zealand's policy decision on Wednesday and the Bank of Korea's rate decision Thursday. CEOs of the largest US banks, including JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, will testify before lawmakers in the Senate Banking and House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday, and the US initial jobless claims, GDP, durable goods and pending home sales on Thursday. Some of the market moves: S&P fell 0.1%, Nasdaq 100 little changed, Dow Jones Industrial fell 0.1%, and the MSCI index rose 0.2%. Bonds, the yield on 10-year treasuries declined 4 basis points to 1.56%. The Germany's 10-year yield declined 3 basis points to minus 0.17%, and Britain's 10-year yield declined 2 basis points to 0.79%. West Texas Intermediate crude, little changed, and gold futures rose 0.7 to 19.01 an ounce. End of article. So there we have it. We may very well see some exciting moves in gold and silver, and the fingers are crossed by many to see that they both move higher. Just a quick word about our website. There was an attempted hack on the website 2 weeks ago and another attempt a couple of days ago. Our site was therefore down for about 12 hours. Our security systems did manage to prevent the hack, but unfortunately a number of emails which passed through the site were temporarily lost, but have now been downloaded from the cloud. So if you've sent us an email and not received a response, our apologies, but we will tend to them in the next day or so. What do you think is going to happen to gold and silver? Are they going to meander around the current levels, or will we see a breakout, and in which direction? Do share your thoughts. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel, not forgetting to press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. If you are a critic, don't worry, we're not really that offended. Just be nice with the criticism. And apart from that, thank you for listening. Until our next video. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.